dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening, I'm Keaton Hall. RSV, or respiratory syncytial virus, is responsible for an estimated 1 in 50 deaths in otherwise healthy children under the age of 5 globally. Hospitals across the country, including here in Kentucky, are at full capacity. Samantha Valentino spoke with local hospitals about the surge of patients they're seeing.
Hospitals across the country are seeing an increased number of RSV cases. RSV causes mild cold-like symptoms, but can be dangerous in some children, especially infants.
The thing with infants is, they can't communicate with you, so they can't tell you if they're feeling bad, if they're short of breath. So parents really have to be kind of attuned to what they're seeing from their kids.
Doctors say parents should watch for cough, fever, and difficulty breathing.
Parents really have to use their best judgment. They need to talk to their pediatrician. They can always go to urgent treatment centers for evaluation or to the emergency rooms, and then they can kind of do an evaluation and go from there.
Dr. Lee Dossett says while they are seeing increased volumes of RSV cases at Baptist Health Lexington, they are still within their capacity.
We've not had to make any major expansions or changes to accommodate that right now.
However, at Kentucky Children's Hospital, they've had to expand beds and staffing to accommodate the surge. With 100% overall bed capacity, including surge beds, roughly 30% of their intensive and acute care beds are currently occupied by RSV patients. And the RSV cases they're seeing now have more than doubled from a month ago. In Lexington, Samantha Valentino, WKYT.
Kentucky Children's Hospital says they're admitting an average of 20 patients with RSV per day. They've also seen flu cases more than double in the past week. Whitesburg City Councilwoman Earlene Williams died just 2 days after getting reelected. She was 79. Williams had won her 5th term as a council member. She was known as a calming voice to the city. Mayor Tiffany Kraft says Williams was by her side through thick and thin, and that the news of her death has put a dark cloud over their city.
Earlene was always one of the top vote getters, always. She was very popular. Everyone loved her. But the day after the election, finding out that Earlene was sick was just a total gut punch.
Earlene Williams is survived by her 2 daughters, Wendy Little and Nikki Bowling. Chandler Wilcox will have more from that story tonight at 11.
Cold weather continues as we close out the weekend. Many people struggling to make it above freezing today on your Sunday. Here's a live look over at UVA-Wise, looking at a cloudy sky. Current temperature is below freezing at this hour, 28 degrees, very cold. A wind out of the northwest at 5 miles per hour. That makes it feel like the lower 20s over in Wise right now. 32 for Jackson and Pikeville, sitting at freezing, just above freezing at London at 33 degrees, and 34 over in Somerset. Up on satellite and radar, we are dry, but we are tracking a cloudy sky. Those clouds are expected to go away later on tonight, but until then, be sure to bundle up because temperatures are going to fall into the upper 20s and lower 30s overnight tonight. We are tracking some showers to return by Tuesday, and cold weather is going to continue for much of the week. That full forecast coming up in just a little bit. Keaton.
Some good pictures of the snow in the area coming up on our Facebook page today. Thanks, Cameron. A plan to improve southern West Virginia is set into motion by the USDA. The USDA's Rural Partners Network is set to expand into 20 West Virginia counties, including Mingo and Logan counties. Eastern Kentucky was one of the very first regions. It was a pilot for the program. The network looks to improve job opportunities, infrastructure, and overall economic stability in the state. West Virginia State USDA Rural Development Director sees it's an opportunity to reach otherwise disenfranchised communities.
USDA Rural Development was tasked with implementing and coordinating the Rural Partners Network in these rural communities. And so it is an all-of-government approach on how we can get federal funding, build capacity in communities where historically they have not received their fair share of federal funding compared to their sort of peer communities.
The Rural Partners Network aims to put local organizations in touch with federal resources. A prayer vigil will be held tonight for the victim of a deadly crash that happened Friday night. State police say 17-year-old Macy Wyan lost control of her vehicle, causing it to go over a steep embankment and into the Kentucky River near Lexington. 2 passengers were able to get out of the car and were taken to UK hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Crews located the vehicle along with Wyan's body yesterday. Wyan was a student at Frederick Douglass High School before transferring to Lafayette. One of the passengers that survived the crash, Corey Gamble, is also a student at Frederick Douglass. The school is hosting a vigil tonight that's set to begin at 7:30. While many of us are enjoying Sunday football and time with family, some folks are out training to keep their community safe. WYMT's Jordan Mullins has more from Magoffin County, where firefighters conducted live training exercises with a car prop to simulate a fire contained to a small car.
The Kentucky Fire Commission held state fire rescue training throughout the week with their car prop.
Vehicle fire can be extremely dangerous. You have to worry about the tires exploding. You have to worry about the shock absorbers on the front and rear bumpers exploding.
On Sunday, live fire training was held at the Salyersville Fire Department, inviting departments from across the region to take part.
In a training setting, we try to make it as realistic as possible, but also as safe as possible. And by using the prop that's here today, we'll be able to accomplish both goals.
And firefighters use real tactics so they know what to do in a real-life situation.
It keeps my firefighters safe by knowing to have their protective clothing on like we got today, and how to approach a car from the side rather than the front or the rear.
Training to keep themselves and their community safe.
If the car's on fire, get away from it and call the fire department, call 911 to get the fire department out. Don't try to put a car fire out by yourself or with a small fire extinguisher.
Putting in the hours to prepare for the next call. In Salyersville, Jordan Mullins, WYMT Mountain News.
Salyersville Fire Chief Paul Howard also noted that despite the training, calls never stop and crews are still able to respond if need be. The Whitesburg VFW partnered with the Veterans Resource Group out of Western Kentucky to provide a Thanksgiving meal for flood survivors. Anyone in the area could line up for a hot meal with many Thanksgiving favorites. Organizer Wilbur Miller says after seeing the flood destruction, he and others felt a calling to help people, whether they're veterans or not.
We're willing to, help the community. We might be a veterans group, but we feel like we should help the communities as well, not just the veterans.
Miller says they plan on making more meals for flood victims in the future. Bernie Cornett and Leo McMillan try to run about 45 Ks a year. But this weekend they invited the whole community out to run for their birthdays. But what's really impressive is the pair are 85 and 86 years old. They say the people, the friendships, and the charities are what keep their feet moving. This race in Lexington will benefit Special Olympics Kentucky and the Hindman Settlement School here in Eastern Kentucky. Leo and Bernie say the people who came to their birthday bash are more like family now, but what they didn't realize was that they've inspired so many others to run.
These are our brothers and sisters, every one of them. We love every one of them spiritually, mentally, and physically, and everywise. We encourage each other to run and finish, especially him.
So we do great. We do great together. It's just good friendship.
They say even with the cold temperatures, they're so grateful for the amount of people who came out to celebrate their birthday. Jeff Bezos is giving Dolly Parton $100 million. The country legend is the latest recipient of Jeff Bezos' Courage and Civility Award. Parton is known for her philanthropy. During the COVID pandemic, she donated $1 million to Vanderbilt University's Medical Center's vaccine research efforts used to help the Moderna COVID vaccine. Bezos, the founder and former head of Amazon, has said the prize money has no strings attached. Last year, he said, quote, they can give it all to their own charity or they can share the wealth. It's up to them. In 1988, Parton established the Dollywood Foundation and eventually the Imagination Library, a program that helps children across the world access books. Coming up at 6, we have reaction to the midterms after Democrats win control of the Senate.
And frigid temperatures continue into your new work week. I have all those details coming up.